an engineer or building designer passionate about sustainable design, our next speaker will invite us to take a step into the future. Because Naviate Zero is more than just another Revit plugin. It's a step in the direction towards a more sustainable world. Please help me welcome Head of Product, Naviate and Symetri Technology, Jan Tore Bugge.
Thank you, Jon. Is my mic on? My name is Jan Tore Bugge, and being Head of Product Naviate, I got the opportunity today to talk a little bit about the journey Symetri has taken the last couple of years into sustainability. I had the fortune to be on site in Stockholm last year. So some of the parts is probably a recap for those in Stockholm online. But let's go. The topics today, recap from last year, but also set a little bit of foundation on sustainability and then move shortly into the base of Naviate Zero. And then I will go through each and every features that we have in Naviate Zero, so you know what to expect. Because it's available today, you can download it, it's a trial. Or you can even buy it if you would like to do that, of course. And then try to do some closings and summarize today's presentation. So, last year, I talked about sustainability. I talked about our initiatives. The main initiative and the drivers for us the last year has been focusing on material selections inside your working environment, Revit. The Naviate Zero MVP was launched last year in October. So when I was in April last year talking about Naviate Zero, it was only screenshots, green mock-ups released in October last year. I also shared a bit on the roadmap and how we envision Naviate Zero in the future to look like. So, I think okay. So, just to say a little bit about the foundation. What is life cycle assessment? It's a structured way, a methodology, how the emission, I would say, the environmental impact of a product or a service or in a process in the entire life cycle. It's typically consisting of extracting the raw materials, move it to the producers or the manufacturer, then take it into production, use, maintenance, and then disposal or recycling. That's the life cycle assessment of a building or a project. It's considering emission gas, energy consumption, waste, and water usage. Different elements or indicators, if you would like to call it that. So, it's a good reason why we are doing this. You have the general climate changes happening around the world. The global temperature is rising, creating heat waves. You can even create wildfires, etc., etc. You have the climate changes that could impact food security. The crops is dying, no food left for our communities. You have climate changes impacting communities and ecosystems as well. And last but not least, biodiversity. We are losing biodiversity in the world today. That's something we need to consider for the future generations. So, there's been a lot of discussions today around our industry. We are the bad guys, the wolves, creating so much emission in the world. And as I said today, 40% is coming from our industry when it comes to waste. If we put it a little bit down and look on the parts when it comes to embodied carbon, that is 11% from our business. And that's where the main focus from Symetri has been put on. That's been a part of our Naviate Zero product. I will get back to Naviate Zero later on. So, it's time to act from a Symetri perspective, but everybody should act on this. So be able to specify materials in your working environment has been important for us. Design for reuse, not only design for using and then demolish it. Think about the impact of designing for disassembly. Either it could be used for other projects later on or put into recycled as an end of life for the buildings. Consider using low energy consumption when you're producing materials. All this is important to support the embodied carbon mission. So last year, I talked about our partnership with One-Click LCA. It's been a really important partnership for us to achieve the goals we set for the product Naviate Zero. Of course, one part is that we are reselling the solutions from One-Click LCA, but the other part of the agreement is a technology partnership. That means that our product Naviate Zero is leveraging the whole repository within One-Click LCA, available in Revit. As you see, we also have our colleagues on the manufacturing side working with similar solutions for their customers. So we have the AC side, we have the manufacturing side, joint forces together on a mission for decarbonization. You've probably seen this in one way or another, different colors maybe. This is the framework governed by several international standards. ISO 14000 series is one of them. The ISO 21930 is providing the framework and the requirements for EPDs in our business. And it's different cycles or stage phases from product construction, maintenance use, end of use, and we are in the life cycle. There's different regulations for different projects and buildings. So sometimes you need to do the full life cycle assessment. Other times it could be on a product level, and that's where we have been focusing on the A1 to A3, where we provide capabilities to add EPDs resources in Revit and move those data to One-Click LCA. If you are obliged to do full life cycle assessments, different certifications, BREEAM, etc., etc. So the core mission for Symetri is decarbonization. Through different initiatives in our business, we actively work to reduce our carbon footprint and champion a more sustainable future. That's our mission. So, like the One-Click LCA partnership, I think that if you are able to solve today's challenges when it comes to climate changes, emissions, etc., we need to look to partners. I think that customer demands has been triggering a new era in the AC business, where companies that not usually work together come together to solve a common problem for the world, for the globe. I call it unified forces. Back in 2016, we did similar things already then. Partner up with a company when it comes to daylight. Daylight is also a product that can be considered in an aspect of sustainability. So, electrical lighting creates a lot of heat. And if you optimize the sunlight in your buildings, less heating, less consumption, etc., etc., etc. So, time to have a look on Naviate Zero. So today's solution out there in the market are focusing on architecture designers, interior designers, and structural engineers. And soon also, if you've been looking at the data from one-click LCA, MEP engineers as well is coming into the game and will be supported in Naviate Zero. So with Naviate Zero, AEC professionals can access functionality and tools within Revit to do the initial early phase calculations on the CO2 emissions for their projects. One-click LCA takes that data we have mapped in our project in the next phase, providing that for the sustainability consultants to do the full life cycle assessment. So, why Naviate Zero? As it says here, sustainable material selection simplified. So we would like to put mapping resources and EPD data on the fingertips of our users. You don't need to have a master or a bachelor or whatever degree in sustainability to do these type of mappings. Checking your model, adding resources. Sustainable material selection is then simplified. All the complexity you think is about doing sustainable design is removed, is available. We are leveraging the EPD repository from one-click LCA, the most extensive one in the world. And of course, you're working in Revit, you're working in BIM, you need to have communication. So we need to make sure that the data we add into our models goes next step into the full life cycle assessment by exporting the data into one-click LCA. Early insight, you will see all EPDs available and a seamless communication from design intent in Revit to one-click LCA. Right? So I talked a little bit about the functionality in Naviate Zero last year. So I'm going to dive a little bit into each and every button. I think we have 4 buttons in Naviate Zero. I think it's the simplest product in the front end we created, but the back end is something else. But let's see. Project settings is the first thing you do in Naviate Zero. You need to decide the location of your building. It's not the country you are working in, it's where the project is based. You need to focus on what type of categories you're working with. Would you like to work with the whole building, just walls, slabs, floors, doors, windows, whatever? You need also to focus on what type of units are we using. It doesn't make sense a window is a volume. Window must be a piece. So units is important as well. Area, length, volume, etc. And of course, is it an existing project or is it a refurbishment project? Decide the phases. We added a lot of selection functionality and filters to make sure that any workflow you have out there today could be supported in one way or another. You can either work with a whole model, you can do selection-based by clicking in the 3D model, say, I would like to work with floors, I would only like to work with walls. You can group by category or material, whatever you like to do. And you can even dive down to the families itself. So focused work as you go on, adding the EPD resources to Naviate Zero. That will support different workflows out there. In Norway, we are working differently from Sweden, UK, Ireland, or whatever out there. Next part is find and apply resources. So you have access to a lot of thousands of EPDs and resources. And it's difficult to work with. So if you know you are going to work in Sweden with a project there, you of course pick the data resource Boverket. That's the standard in Sweden. Further on, what area that comes default from the settings, so you don't need to consider that. But if you did wrong in the beginning, you can change it here. Resources. Are you working with steel, timber, glass? Pick those. Make sure that you have a focused area to work on. Then, are you in early phase? You most likely are using generic EPDs, not manufacturer EPDs. So you can also choose if you would like to work with generic EPDs or the manufacturer ones. And of course, if you only would like to consider the best CO2 resources, you can pick those as well, or even see what's the worst one. Everything comes with a cost, so that's a balancing when working in the project, cost versus sustainability. And that's something you need to mitigate going forward. So, in the process of choosing or selecting different EPDs on resources, we have provided some compare functionality, 2 or more EPDs. So if you're a little bit, I wouldn't say nerdy, but if you'd like to dive a little bit behind the numbers, you can go into details on the different EPDs. And by doing that, you are taking more considerate choices when adding these resources to your project. What we call informed decisions. And our stakeholders, our customers, clients, they're probably not so concerned about all the itsy-bitsy parts, the numbers. They would like to have some visuals, some graphs, pie charts, both from you as a designer, where you can find the hotspots, what element is causing the most impact when it comes to the CO2 emission in the project, or not. But also stakeholders that would like to see how the total calculations for the building will be when it comes to the sustainability aspect. And last, the seamless communication between one-click LCA. It's a click on a button, and then you have given the sustainability consultants a head start. We map everything in one-click LCA. The result is also an Excel file. So if you have other users area for that the quantities and the data, you can take that Excel file into other solutions as well. So it's not just only one way. So to summarize, we do mapping of types in Naviate Zero to resources, and we are leveraging the one-click LCA repository. Filter and search functionality. We have compare multiple resources. We calculate the model on the fly. Any change you do is instant available in your model. So if you see, oh, this was really a bad material, okay, I need to change it. Then you instantly can see the result and the impact of the model. And the last one is the export. Back in October last year, we had the Naviate Zero MVP release. MVP, minimal viable product. A product that is working out there that you can use, you can try it and test it on a project, was released then. We put a question for those customer clients that would like to try out Naviate Zero, asking them, what's the biggest challenge you have working with sustainability in your company? So I picked 4 to 8 of those, just trying to see, are we on the right page on the road for Naviate Zero development-wise? Have we covered the different aspects and challenges out there at our customers? So the first one, get connected. Get correct data for climate calculations and workflows. We talked about workflows. Another one is making sustainable solutions fast. I don't think we can do it any more faster than we do today. You have the model, you have the repository, you just map it. The workflows between the BIM and carbon analysis, one-click LCA. And the last one, those cool visuals graphs. This is more understandable for some of us. Naviate Zero ticks all of them. Next one, easy access to data. EPDs on the fingertips. Although convincing the clients the scope of the projects is challenging, and it always comes too late in the phase. So you need to be as early as possible. Early design stage. And the last, connecting model objects with climate data. Naviate Zero does that as well. So it seems that the challenges the customer are facing out there has been solved in one way or another in Naviate Zero. That doesn't mean that Naviate Zero is finished or this is the product. It's going to be developed going forward as well, based on input from you out there and in Sweden as well. Our development has always been customer-centric, and you are the one to drive that development in the right direction.
Building and construction account for 39% of global carbon emissions. We can't stop climate change, but we can slow it down by making more informed decisions. Naviate Zero is the easy way to pick the most sustainable building materials right within Revit. Click, compare, and curate your construction with the lowest carbon footprint possible. Check the CO2 estimates, tweak as needed, and build better. Small changes can make a big impact. Naviate Zero helps you make sustainable changes with confidence. Zero effort, zero waste. Naviate Zero.
No applause. It can't be simpler than that we're doing in Naviate Zero today. So, some closing words. We all know this picture, the graph. And if you start thinking about sustainability in the concept design, you are too late to the party. You need to start before. If not, the cost will creep a lot. So remember that. Before the concept, you need to start thinking about sustainability. A sustainability organization, you need to have a vision. You need to have a strategy how you're going to reach the decarbonization targets. You need to have goals and objectives, and of course some KPIs. That's important. And Symetri has that knowledge and capability to help you out there to kind of laying out your strategy around sustainability in your company. So use our consultants, the competence we have, to help you on that journey. You see, you, the designer, is the most important in this sustainability journey. We have accounted for all the different drivers in the industry: regulatory compliance, cost reductions, competitive advantage, environmental impact. But there's only you out there as a designer that can drive that sustainability journey together with us and together with your company. So, we are not sustainability consultants. And we will not be sustainability consultants in that sense. We will be the digitalization consultants, facilitating the workflows between the designers, the consultant, the sustainability consultants within the company. We will facilitate all those streams, workflows, to help you out there. And we are bridging the gap between the designers and the consultants, sustainability consultants. That's where we are. So we will not be the experts, but we can facilitate. We know about the sustainability, and we're bridging the gap. So you out there don't need to be experts. We will give the insight, so you make sure that you do the right choices going forward. So, Naviate Zero empowers everyday designers, you, with tools, functionality for informed decision-making and efficiency when it comes to life cycle analysis. One-click supports the whole in-depth lifecycle assessment, all the regulations, all the certifications, etc. Reporting and providing specialized solutions for core users. So together, we ensure people to work smarter and more sustainable. Thank you.